My name is Ambrina, and I'm 29 years old. 3 weeks ago, right in the middle of my own baby shower, my mother-in-law passed me an envelope and declared in front of 50 guests a list of 47 reasons her son should divorce me. My husband laughed. The entire room laughed. I didn't. I opened the envelope, located reason number 23, and read it aloud. The color vanished from her face. That same night, every member of my husband's family blocked her number. Before I reveal what was inside that envelope and why it shattered her, please take a second to like and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy this story. Also, leave a comment sharing where you're watching from and what time it is there. I genuinely love reading them. Now, let me take you back 4 weeks to the evening my mother-in-law began orchestrating my public humiliation. It was a Tuesday night around 10 o'clock. I lay on the couch, swollen feet elevated on a pillow, 7 months pregnant, every inch of me aching. Ryan was on the phone with his mother once more. Patricia's voice carried through the speaker, crisp, commanding, as though she were chairing a corporate meeting rather than planning a baby shower. "I've got it all arranged," she announced. "The caterer, decorations, guest list. Just tell Ensley not to worry about anything. Tell Ensley, not ask Ensley." Ryan glanced over. "Mom says she's taking care of everything. May I speak with her?" He hesitated, then passed me the phone. "Patricia, hi. I was thinking perhaps we could." "Oh, Ensley," she interrupted, her tone suddenly syrupy, the kind of sweetness that sets your teeth on edge. "You don't need to concern yourself with a thing, dear. Just rest. Events like this demand experience." I actually had an idea for the theme, something understated, and "That's sweet," she cut in again. "But I believe my vision suits better. You've never organized a large gathering, have you?" The silence lingered. I understood exactly what she implied, what she always implied. "You never had a mother to guide you." "I'll manage it all," she pressed on. "A mother knows best." Before I could reply, she added, "By the way, I've invited a few of Ryan's old friends, including Melissa. You remember Melissa?" My stomach knotted. Melissa, Ryan's ex, the one Patricia still exchanged Christmas cards with. "That's thoughtful," I replied. "Wonderful. Rest well, dear. You'll need your strength." The call ended. Ryan reclaimed the phone. "See, she's got it handled." I stared at the ceiling. Why invite his ex to my baby shower? 1 week before the event, we dined at Patricia's home. I wore my favorite maternity dress, navy blue, soft fabric, the only outfit that still felt comfortable. I'd purchased it myself with my own money. It reminded me of who I was. The dining room buzzed with family. Ryan, his sister Diane, Aunt Margaret, several cousins, all passing plates and chatting lightly. Patricia presided at the head of the table. "Ensley," she announced mid-conversation, loud enough for all to hear. "That dress is interesting." I glanced down. "Thank you." Navy can be difficult, though, she tilted her head. Dark shades tend to make a woman appear heavier, especially when she's expecting. The table fell silent. "I feel good in it," I said evenly. "Of course you do. Comfort matters. I simply think if your mother were here, she might have pointed that out." The silence stretched. Aunt Margaret's fork froze. Diane fixed her gaze on her plate. Ryan cleared his throat. "Mom, come on." But he stopped there. He always stopped there. I held my smile. "I appreciate the suggestion, Patricia, but I'm at ease with myself." She blinked, then gave a light, airy laugh, brushing it aside. "Of course, dear." Later, while washing my hands in the bathroom, Diane slipped inside and shut the door. "Hey, I'm sorry about her. I know she's been tough." I met her eyes in the mirror. It's okay. It isn't. She bit her lip. Look, there's something I need to share, but not here. What do you mean? Can we meet tomorrow? Just us. The tension in her voice tightened my chest. Okay. Tomorrow. She nodded once and slipped out. What did Ryan's sister know that I didn't? The next morning, we met at a quiet coffee shop. Diane was already seated, absently stirring an untouched latte. She looked anxious. So was I. Thanks for coming, she said as I sat. You're worrying me. What's wrong? Diane drew a breath. You know I work at First National, handling branch transactions. I nodded. Last week, while reviewing accounts, standard procedure, I noticed a withdrawal from your joint savings account, yours and Ryan's. Okay. $11,000, Ensley. The figure struck like ice water. That can't be right. Ryan never mentioned. Because he didn't make it, she lowered her voice. It came through a linked account. Someone with secondary access. My mind raced. Who has secondary access to our savings? She held my gaze, and I understood. Ryan added her years ago, Diane said softly. Before your marriage. He called it emergency access. Patricia had taken $11,000 from our account. Not stolen outright, she transferred it via the permissioned account. Diane pushed a printed statement across the table. Here. The date lines up with that new antique collection she's been showing off. I stared at the stark figures, irrefutable. Why tell me now? Because it's wrong, she answered. And you have a right to know. I folded the paper neatly and tucked it into my purse. Did Ryan know? I don't believe so. $11,000 vanished without a single word to either of us. What will you do? Diane asked. I had no reply yet, but one truth was clear. I would not act as if this were acceptable. That evening, I waited for Ryan to come home. Can we talk? He set his bag down. Sure. Everything all right? Did you know your mother still has access to our savings account? He paused. Yeah, I added her years back, before we got together. For emergencies. Why? Check the balance. He opened the banking app on his phone. I watched realization dawn across his features. What the? There's $11,000 missing. I know. How? Diane told me. She spotted the transaction at work. Ryan stared at the screen. Then he dialed his mother. I listened to his half of the exchange, the initial confusion, the questions, and finally the unmistakable change in tone. She says she borrowed it, Ryan said, ending the call. For my birthday gift. She planned to repay it. Borrowed? I let the word hang in the air, unvoiced questions thick around it. She said it completely slipped her mind to tell us, $11,000 slipped her mind. Ensley, he scrubbed a hand over his face. She promised she'll pay it back. Let's not turn this into something huge. You know how she gets. There it was again. The familiar shield. You know how she gets. Code for don't rock the boat. Don't confront her. Preserve the fragile peace. Ryan, she withdrew money from our joint account without asking. That isn't a simple oversight. She's my mother. You're my wife. He exhaled heavily, gaze dropping to the floor. Please, he said softly. Just don't mention it at the baby shower. I don't want any drama. I stood there, 7 months pregnant, clutching undeniable evidence that his mother had taken from us, and he was pleading for my silence. We'll see, I answered. I made no promise. I was finished with promises I couldn't honor. The day before the shower, Patricia phoned me directly, rare enough to raise my guard. "Ensley, darling," she began, voice smooth as honey poured over iron. "I just wanted to confirm a few last details. The photographer needs to know your colors for the portraits. Everything is coordinated in yellow and cream, so I'll need you in something that complements." I glanced at the dusty rose dress already hanging ready in the closet, the one I'd chosen weeks earlier. "I already have my dress picked out." Dusty rose. A beat of silence. "Oh? Is that an issue?" She gave a light laugh. "Yellow photographs so beautifully. I've already instructed the team." "Then please tell them I'll be wearing dusty rose." Another pause. This one longer, heavier. "Of course, dear." The sweetness had soured at the edges. "Whatever keeps you comfortable." I'd heard that exact phrase from her before. It never carried the meaning the word suggested. "Patricia, is there anything else?" "Actually, yes." Her tone warmed, almost intimate now. "I've prepared a small surprise for you at the party. Something I've been putting together for quite a while." My fingers tightened around the phone. "What sort of surprise?" "If I told you, it wouldn't be a surprise anymore, would it?" She laughed again. "Trust me, it's going to delight everyone. Very personal." Personal. The word landed uneasily in my gut. "I only want everything to be perfect for the family. You understand, don't you?" "I understand completely." "Wonderful. See you tomorrow, dear. Rest well." She ended the call. I stood in the bedroom, one palm resting on my belly, the other still clutching the phone. A surprise, something personal, something long in the making. Every instinct I possessed was sounding alarms. Yet, I had no concrete proof. Not yet. The morning of the shower, Claire arrived early. She found me in the bedroom, half-dressed, staring at the bank statement lying open on the dresser. "You look like you're suiting up for war," she observed. "Maybe I am." Claire perched on the bed's edge. We'd been close since college. She was a nurse, steady and unflinching, the friend who never rattled in a crisis. "Tell me everything." So I did. The $11,000, Diane's quiet warning, Ryan's plea for silence, Patricia's cryptic surprise. She listened without a single interruption. When I finished, she asked simply, "And you're still attending this event?" "If I don't show, I become the villain. She wins regardless." "So, what's your strategy?" I looked from the dusty rose dress to the damning statement to my own reflection. No strategy. I'm going to walk in, smile, and survive it. Claire arched a brow. "That doesn't sound like you." "What do you mean?" "You're an analyst, Ensley. You never enter a room without information." I almost smiled. She knew me too well. I reached into my purse, withdrew the folded statement, and handed it to her. "I have the information. I just haven't decided whether I'll use it." Claire studied the paper, then met my eyes. "Whatever unfolds today," she said, "I've got you, and my phone is fully charged." "For what?" "Evidence," she shrugged. "You never know." I pulled her into a quick hug. For a fleeting second, the loneliness eased. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," she drew back, flashing a small grin. "Let's go see what your mother-in-law has in store. I have a feeling it will be unforgettable." She had no idea how accurate that feeling would prove. Patricia's home resembled a styled editorial, yellow and white balloons cascading in graceful arches, streamers catching golden afternoon light, a sweeping banner above the fireplace proclaiming, "Welcome, baby," in elegant gold script. 50 guests drifted through the space holding champagne flutes and delicate appetizers. Cousins, aunts, friends, some familiar, many strangers. The scene was flawless, and not one element had been discussed with me. Ryan squeezed my hand as we stepped inside. "See, Mom really went all out." I nodded, offered a polite smile, said nothing. The first face I registered was Melissa's. She lingered near the gift table, blonde, poised, wearing a yellow dress that matched the decor precisely. When our eyes met, she smiled slowly, deliberately. Had Patricia coordinated their outfits? "Ensley, there you are." Patricia glided toward us, arms wide in welcome, cream silk, pearls gleaming at her throat, every inch the impeccable hostess. She enveloped me in a tight embrace. "Our radiant mother-to-be," she proclaimed to the room. Applause rippled through the guests. But as she held me close, she whispered against my ear, "Glad you didn't wear yellow. It simplifies things." Before I could respond, she released me and turned to welcome another arrival. "It simplifies things." I located Claire across the room. She lifted her brows in silent inquiry. I gave the slightest shake of my head. The following hour passed in a haze of superficial chatter and manufactured smiles. Every so often, I caught Patricia observing me, satisfied, expectant. Then, precisely at 3 p.m., she tapped a fork against her champagne flute. The room hushed. "Everyone, please come gather," Patricia called, radiant. "Before we move forward, I have a very special presentation prepared for Ensley. Something I've been carefully assembling for months." My pulse quickened. This was the moment, the surprise, and a cold certainty told me exactly what form it would take. Before Patricia could proceed, the front door swung open. Diane rushed in, cheeks pink, breathing hard. She scanned the crowd until her gaze locked on mine. Trouble was written plainly across her features. "Sorry to be late," she said to the room at large, already weaving toward me. "Patricia, we're just about to begin the presentation." "One moment, Mom." Diane reached me, gently took my elbow, and steered me toward the window, out of easy earshot. "What's happening?" I whispered. "I overheard Mom on the phone last night. She was speaking with Aunt Ruth about some list. I don't know the details, but she sounded thrilled in the worst possible way." My throat tightened. "What kind of list?" "I'm not sure, but whatever she's about to do, stay sharp." I glanced back. Patricia watched us, smile frozen, eyes keen. Diane's grip on my arm tightened. "If anything goes down, remember what you're holding. The bank statement. That's real leverage. You really think she'd?" "I don't know what she'll try, but I know my mother. She believes she's invincible. She thinks no one would dare confront her in front of an audience." "What if she put something in writing?" I asked quietly. "Something damning." Diane's eyes widened a fraction. Then understanding dawned. "She just handed you the weapon herself." "Ensley." Patricia's voice sliced through the hush. "We're waiting, ladies." Diane gave my hand one firm squeeze. "I'll be right here." She stepped back. I returned to the center of the room where 50 pairs of eyes followed my every move. Patricia's smile was serene, but I suddenly understood. Whatever she'd written in that envelope, she had no clue how damning it truly was. Time to find out. As I threaded through the guests, a gentle hand closed around my wrist. Aunt Margaret. She sat on the sofa by the window, her untouched champagne flute resting beside her. Ryan's aunt had always been the quiet observer at family events, watching, rarely speaking. "Sit with me a moment," she said softly. I sank down beside her. "How are you holding up, sweetie?" "I'm fine. Just tired." She studied my face with quiet intensity. "I've known Patricia more than 30 years, ever since she married my brother. Most people don't realize that." I hadn't known either. Margaret glanced across the room where Patricia fussed near the gift table. She's never tolerated anyone who refuses to follow her script. Did she treat you the same way she treated me? Worse, I admitted, but I never had proof. Margaret's gaze flicked to my purse. Do you now? I held her eyes and said nothing. She nodded once, slowly. Good. Keep it close. Why tell me this? She was quiet for a long breath. When she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of decades. Years ago, Patricia convinced my brother I was stealing from the family. I wasn't. I could never prove it. And Richard died still believing her lies. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Her fingers tightened briefly on mine. Be smart. If she tries anything today, don't let her win with your silence. Silence is how she's won for 30 years. Everyone gather around. Patricia's voice rang out again, bright and commanding. Margaret released me. Go. And remember what I said. I stood and walked toward the heart of the room. 50 guests formed a loose semicircle. Ryan stood close to his mother, smiling, completely unaware. Patricia held a crisp white envelope. The room stilled. This was the moment. Okay, I need to pause here for a second. If you're as hooked on this story as I was while living it, drop a comment below. What would you do if your mother-in-law handed you an envelope like that? Open it in front of everyone. Walk away. I'm honestly curious. And if you're enjoying this, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel. Now, back to the party. Patricia stood at the center, white envelope in hand. Afternoon sunlight glinted off the pearls at her throat. She looked every inch the gracious, warm, benevolent hostess. Ensley, sweetheart, she extended her hand. Come here. I walked toward her. Each step felt heavy, like moving through water. 50 guests watched, smiling, expectant. They believed this was simply part of the celebration. I've put so much thought into this moment, she said, loud enough for every ear in the room. As a mother, I only want the absolute best for my son. Murmurs of agreement, nods. Someone cooed, how sweet. She held out the envelope. This is a list, she announced, of 47 reasons my son should divorce you. For one frozen second, the room held its breath. Then Ryan laughed, a startled chuckle that quickly grew. Aunt Ruth joined in. Cousin David laughed. A woman I didn't know laughed until she wiped her eyes. They thought it was a prank, a cheeky gag gift. Classic mother-in-law humor. Patricia laughed, too, her eyes crinkling with feigned delight. But I saw it clearly. Her gaze never wavered from my face. This was no joke. She wanted to watch me crumble. Ryan nudged my arm. Come on, babe. Open it. I took the envelope. It felt heavier than paper alone should feel. Go ahead, dear, Patricia urged sweetly. Read it. It's all in good fun. Her smile edged sharper. Unless you're afraid of what you'll find. Another wave of laughter rolled through the crowd. I looked at Ryan. He was still grinning, waiting for me to join the game. I looked down at the envelope and remembered every veiled insult, every backhanded compliment, every time I'd bitten my tongue to keep the peace. I wasn't afraid. I was finished. I opened it. 4 neatly typed pages slid out, numbered 1 through 47. The room still hummed with amusement. Someone whispered, "This is priceless." Another said, "Patricia's such a character." I began to read silently. Number 1, she doesn't know how to cook a proper roast. Number 4, she convinced my son to move 20 minutes away from me. Number 7, she works too much. A wife should be home. Number 15, she's too independent. A good wife relies on her husband. Petty grievances. The kind a resentful woman hoards and polishes for years. But I kept reading. Number 19, she didn't invite me to her doctor's appointment. Number 21, she won't let me decorate the nursery. And then I reached number 23. I read it once, then again. My pulse stuttered. Well? Patricia's voice cut in. Anything interesting? I lifted my eyes and met hers. 50 people waited. Claire stood in the corner, phone discreetly raised. Diane lingered near the door, pale. Aunt Margaret watched from the sofa, hands folded calmly. Ryan still had his grin. Come on, he said. Read some out loud. This is hilarious. Patricia tilted her head. Yes, dear. Share with the class. I looked at the words one final time. Reason number 23, she doesn't even know I accessed their joint bank account to withdraw money for Ryan's birthday gift. Proof she doesn't pay attention to their finances. She had written her own confession. And she had no idea. I raised my head. May I read this one out loud? Patricia's smile bloomed, victorious. Of course, dear. Whichever you like. I drew a slow breath and spoke. My voice stayed even, calm. No need to shout. Reason number 23. The room leaned in. She doesn't even know I accessed their joint bank account to withdraw money for Ryan's birthday gift. Proof she doesn't pay attention to their finances. The air in the room changed. It wasn't immediate. It was like watching a single drop of ink spread through a glass of clear water. First confusion, a few murmurs, then a sharp, collective understanding as the words landed. Accessed their joint bank account. Patricia's smile didn't drop, it froze, became a stiff, waxy mask. Her eyes went wide, then hollow. The color drained from her face, leaving her skin the shade of old paper. Ryan's grin vanished. What? He breathed. She took $11,000 from our savings account, I said, my voice still calm, but now it carried across the silent room. And she just admitted it. In her own handwriting. Everything erupted at once. Voices collided. Questions ricocheted from every corner. How long has this been happening? Did Ryan know? Is this why she's always been so cold? Patricia stood paralyzed amid the storm, mouth working soundlessly like a fish gasping on dry land. Aunt Margaret wasn't done. This isn't the first time, is it, Patricia? The room hushed again. Margaret advanced slowly. 30 years of swallowed silence burned behind her eyes. You told my brother I was stealing from the family. Her voice trembled with old pain. I never took a cent, but Richard believed you. He died believing your lies. Gasps rippled outward. A cousin, David, Patricia's own nephew, spoke up. Wait, is that why Dad stopped speaking to Aunt Margaret? She fabricated the whole thing, Margaret said. Tears traced silent paths down her cheeks. All of it. And for decades, I was treated like a thief in my own family. Patricia's polished mask fractured. That was different. Different? How? Margaret cut in sharply. You lied about me. Now you've stolen from your own son. And then you wrote the confession yourself. Movement stirred near the gift table. Melissa stepped forward. Her voice was soft but carried clearly. Mrs. Whitmore, you told me you invited me because Ensley wanted old friends here to celebrate. That wasn't true, was it? Another wave of murmurs swept the room. Patricia had deliberately brought Ryan's ex-girlfriend to his pregnant wife's baby shower under false pretenses. I was trying to, Patricia began. You were trying to hurt me, I said, not in anger, just plainly, factually. You've been trying to hurt me since the day we met. I lifted the list. These are your words, Patricia. All 47 of them. She had no reply. For the first time in 30 years, Patricia Whitmore stood speechless. Ryan positioned himself between us. I watched the realization crash over him. The list, the theft, the calculated humiliation, the decades of manipulation finally cracking through the surface like thin ice. Patricia reached for him. Ryan, honey, you know I only did this because I love you. She's changing you. She's pulling you away from me. Mom. His voice came out rough, raw. I was trying to protect you. From what? He stepped back, out of her reach. From the woman carrying my child. She's not right for you. I've always known it. You took our money. The words left him slowly, as though he were hearing their weight for the first time. You made a 47-point list to humiliate my wife at her own baby shower in front of our entire family. He glanced at Melissa, who quietly edged toward the exit. And you invited my ex-girlfriend. Patricia's gaze darted wildly. Everyone's overreacting. This is just a misunderstanding. $11,000 isn't a misunderstanding, Ryan said, his jaw locked. A 47-item list isn't a joke. I stayed quiet. This wasn't my battle to finish. It was his. He had to make the choice himself. The room held its breath. I think you should leave, Mom. Patricia's face collapsed. You're choosing her over your own mother. Ryan looked at me, at the gentle swell of my belly, at the future we were building, then back at her. I'm choosing my family, he said. The one I'm building with her. Patricia snatched her purse. Her hands trembled violently. She walked toward the door. The crowd parted silently. At the threshold, she turned, eyes locked on mine. This isn't over, she said. I met her stare without blinking. I think it is. The door slammed shut behind her. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Aunt Margaret raised her champagne flute. Well, she said dryly, that was 30 years overdue. The echo of the door faded. 50 people stood in Patricia's meticulously decorated living room, yellow balloons and streamers suddenly feeling surreal. Then, unexpectedly, someone laughed. A small, shocked giggle from Aunt Ruth that shattered the tension like glass. I've waited 20 years to see that woman speechless, she said. A few more nervous, relieved laughs followed. Diane crossed to me. I'm so sorry about all of this. Are you okay? I drew a slow breath and released it. I think I'm better than I've been in months. Claire appeared beside me, her phone still in hand. She leaned close. I recorded everything. Just in case. I nodded. Not for revenge. For protection. There's a difference. Ryan came to me then. His face was ashen, eyes rimmed red. Ensley, his voice cracked. I'm sorry. I should have seen this sooner. I took his hand. You see it now. That's what matters. Gradually, haltingly, the baby shower resumed. Someone sliced the cake. Someone else began opening gifts. But the atmosphere had lightened, as though a long-held pressure had finally released. Near the dessert table, Patricia's cousin, Ellen, found me. Thank you, she whispered. Someone needed to stand up to her. We've all been too afraid. Similar quiet words reached me throughout the afternoon. Relatives I barely knew, family friends, all carrying the same message. It was about time. I hadn't exposed her. She had exposed herself. I had simply read her own words aloud. By the time we left that evening, something fundamental had shifted. For the first time since marrying Ryan, I no longer felt like an outsider in his family. I felt like I belonged. Before the party ended, a small group gathered in Patricia's study: Ryan, me, Diane, and Aunt Margaret. The door clicked shut behind us. "We need to discuss next steps," Margaret said. Ryan perched on the edge of Patricia's desk, the same desk where she had likely typed that list. "I'm removing her access from our accounts first thing tomorrow," he said. "Good. That should have happened years ago," Diane replied. "And the $11,000? I asked. Diane glanced at her phone, checking something quickly. "Legally, you have options. The withdrawal was unauthorized. You could pursue it." "I don't want to sue her," I shook my head. "I just want boundaries." "Then make them clear," Margaret said firmly. "In writing. No more family favors, no more access to your finances, your home, or your decisions. Not until she earns it back." Ryan nodded slowly. "I'll send her an email. Lay it all out. No contact until she apologizes genuinely and repays the money." "An actual apology," Diane added. "Not her usual 'I'm sorry you feel that way' nonsense." "And the baby shower," I looked around the small circle. "Do we just pretend this never happened?" Margaret laughed, warm, genuine. "Honey, this is the most honest family gathering I've attended in 30 years. Ryan took my hand. "I'm not cutting her off forever. She's still my mother. But until she takes responsibility, she doesn't get access to our life." I squeezed his hand in return. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't complete. But it was a beginning. Boundaries aren't punishment. They're protection. And for the first time in my marriage, I had both my husband and his family standing beside me. That was worth more than any apology. "Can I be honest with you for a second?" When I stood there reading that list aloud, my hands were shaking. But I realized something powerful. Silence wasn't protecting me. It was protecting her. If you've ever had to stand up to someone who believed they were untouchable, I see you. Drop a heart emoji in the comments. And if you're new here, please subscribe. We've got more stories coming. Now, let me tell you what happened that night. That night, our apartment felt different, quieter, lighter, as though a storm had finally passed and left everything washed clean. Ryan sat on the couch staring at his phone. "I have 12 messages," he said. "From who?" "Everyone." He scrolled slowly. "Uncle David, Cousin Beth, Aunt Ruth, people who haven't texted me in years." "What are they saying?" He read a few aloud. "From Diane, Mom's been calling everyone. No one's picking up. Aunt Margaret already blocked her number. 30 years too late, but better late than never. From Cousin Beth, I always knew something was off with her. Thank you for finally proving it. From Uncle David, proud of you, son. That took real courage." Ryan set the phone down. His gaze drifted somewhere far away. "How do you feel?" I asked gently. He took a long moment. "Guilty. Relieved. Sad. All at once." "That's okay," I said, settling beside him. "You're allowed to feel every bit of it. I spent 31 years thinking her behavior was just normal." He turned to face me. "It took you standing up to her to show me it wasn't." I didn't reply, just rested my head on his shoulder. His phone buzzed again. He glanced at it, then tilted the screen toward me. He'd blocked Patricia's number. "I'll unblock her when she's ready to be a grandmother," he said quietly. Not controlling. Just clear. I thought about the baby growing inside me, about the family we were creating. "She can still fix this," I said. "All it takes is a genuine apology." "You think she will?" I remembered the fury in her eyes as she left. The humiliation, the unspoken vow. "I don't know," I admitted honestly. But the door isn't locked. It's just closed. Whether she chooses to walk through it is up to her. A week slipped by. Then, on a quiet Sunday morning, the email arrived. Ryan showed me, expression carefully neutral. It's from her. I set my coffee down. What does it say? He read it aloud. Dear Ryan. I've had time to reflect on what happened at the shower. I'm deeply hurt that you chose to publicly humiliate me in front of our entire family. Ensley clearly orchestrated this to turn everyone against me. I was only trying to protect you, as I always have. The money was a loan, nothing more. I expected my own son to understand that. I hope you'll reconsider your position and see that I've only ever wanted what's best for you. Love, Mom. He lowered the phone. I waited. She's not apologizing, he said at last. She's explaining why she was right, and she's blaming you. I noticed. He scrubbed a hand over his face. What do I do? I considered. Second chances. Boundaries that mean nothing if they fold at the first pressure. That's your call, I said. But if you reply, be crystal clear. He picked up his phone, typed, deleted, typed again. When he finished, he showed me. Mom, until you genuinely apologize to Ensley and repay the money, I won't respond. I love you, but I love my family more. You didn't have to mention my name. Yes, I did. He met my eyes. You're the reason I finally see clearly. He hit send. We didn't expect a reply. We didn't get one. But 1 week later, Diane called. $11,000 just appeared back in your account this morning. No note, no message. The money was returned. The apology wasn't. Some things take longer than others. 2 weeks after the deposit, Diane called again. Her voice sounded heavier this time. I need to tell you something about Mom. I braced myself. What happened? She's not doing well. Diane paused. She's alone. No one's speaking to her. Aunt Margaret blocked her. Ruth blocked her. Even her bridge club dropped her. I didn't tell anyone to block her. I know. They made their own choice. Diane sighed. But she's spiraling. She called me crying last night. Said everyone abandoned her. I listened to the quiet hum on the line. How do you feel about that? I asked gently. Conflicted, she whispered. Her voice cracked. She's my mother. She's awful. Both are true. I understood that duality more deeply than she realized. She can fix this, Diane. All she has to do is apologize. Genuinely. You told her that. She keeps insisting she did nothing wrong. Then she's not ready yet. I know. A long silence. I just wanted you to know what's happening with her. In case it matters. I gazed out the window, thinking of the woman who'd spent years diminishing me, who'd stolen from us, who'd tried to dismantle my marriage in front of 50 people. I didn't feel joy at her suffering. I didn't feel guilt either. Thank you for telling me, I said. And, Diane, you're not responsible for her choices. Neither are you. I know. When we hung up, Ryan was watching me. How is she? Lonely. Defensive. Still not sorry. He nodded slowly. Maybe she never will be. Maybe. I rested my hand on my belly. But until she is, she doesn't get to be part of this. Our baby kicked right on cue. Some boundaries protect more than one person. 3 months later, I gave birth to our daughter. We named her Lily. The delivery room was small but bright. Ryan held my hand through 18 exhausting hours of labor. Claire was there, off duty, but refusing to leave. Diane arrived with flowers. Aunt Margaret brought a hand-knitted blanket. Patricia wasn't there. She still hadn't apologized. I held Lily for the first time, this tiny, flawless person, and felt the entire world reorient itself. Everything that came before suddenly seemed smaller, less significant. This was what mattered now. "She's beautiful," Claire whispered. "She looks like you," Ryan said, tears streaking his cheeks. I studied my daughter's face, her delicate fingers, the vast future lying ahead. She would not grow up in a family where silence was used as a weapon, where manipulation masqueraded as love, where standing up for yourself meant standing alone. I would make certain of it. Later that evening, Ryan sat beside my hospital bed, his phone in hand. "I called Mom," he said quietly. "Told her about Lily." My heart tightened. "What did she say?" "She cried. Asked if she could see her." He met my eyes. "I told her when she's ready to respect my wife, she can meet my daughter." I reached for his hand. "That must have been hard." "It was," he squeezed my fingers. "But it was the right thing." Diane appeared in the doorway. "Hey," she said softly. "I just wanted you to know I talked to Mom this morning." She mentioned therapy. Therapy? For the first time in her life, Diane almost smiled. "Maybe there's hope." I looked down at Lily, sleeping peacefully in my arms. Maybe there was. But hope was not the same as trust. That would have to be earned. 6 months after Lily was born, a letter arrived. Not an email. A handwritten note on cream stationery. Patricia's familiar slanted handwriting unmistakable. I almost discarded it unopened. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table while Lily napped and unfolded the pages. It was 2 pages long. She wrote about her childhood, growing up with a mother who never offered affection, learning that love meant control and control meant safety. She wrote about losing Ryan's father and how terrified she'd been of losing her son, too. Then she wrote this. "I convinced myself that if I could control everything around my son, I could keep him safe. But I was wrong. I wasn't protecting him. I was suffocating him. And I was cruel to you because you threatened the only kind of love I knew how to give. I'm sorry. Not sorry you feel that way. Not sorry if I hurt you. I'm sorry for what I did. For the list, for the money, for every time I made you feel like you weren't enough. You are enough. You always were. I was just too broken to see it." I read the letter twice, then a third time. Ryan came home and found me at the kitchen table, Patricia's letter spread out before me like an open map of old wounds and faint new paths. He read it in silence, turning each page carefully. When he reached the end, his eyes were glistening. "What do you want to do?" he asked. He looked at me for a long moment. "What do you want?" I let the question settle. I thought about the years of quiet cuts, the public humiliation, the scars that still ached on certain days. But I also thought about the possibility, small, fragile, but real. "We can meet," I said finally. "Once. In a public place. With clear rules. And if she crosses any line, we walk away for good." Ryan nodded slowly. "One more thing," I added. "She doesn't hold Lily until she looks me in the eye and says it in person. Face to face. No excuses." "Fair," he said. "More than fair." But I was willing to open the door. Just a crack. We chose a quiet coffee shop on a Tuesday afternoon. Neutral territory, plenty of witnesses, Lily in her stroller between Ryan and me like a small, sleeping anchor. Patricia arrived looking noticeably diminished. The sharp, commanding edges had softened. Less makeup, simpler clothes, the unmistakable wear of 6 months of therapy and genuine solitude. She sat across from us, the table a deliberate barrier. Whatever happened next would happen here. "Thank you for meeting me," she said. Her voice was quieter, stripped of its usual polish. I nodded and waited. She drew a steadying breath. "I'm sorry." Her eyes met mine directly. No evasion, no defensiveness. "For the list. For the money. For years of making you feel unwelcome in your own family. For weaponizing the absence of your mother." Her voice cracked on those last words. I told myself I was protecting my son, but I was only terrified of losing him. Instead of facing that fear, I turned it on you. You didn't deserve any of it, and I'm truly sorry. The coffee shop carried on around us. Normal voices, clinking cups, the soft hiss of the espresso machine. Ordinary life oblivious to the history unfolding at our table. "Thank you for saying that," I replied. Patricia's hands trembled slightly on the tabletop. Her gaze drifted to the stroller. Can I see her?" I glanced at Ryan. He gave the smallest nod. I turned the stroller so she could see her granddaughter, 6 months old, sleeping peacefully, tiny chest rising and falling. Patricia's face crumpled. Tears slipped freely down her cheeks. "She's beautiful," she whispered. "Would you like to hold her?" The offer surprised even me. Patricia looked up, startled, hopeful, almost frightened. "Are you sure?" I lifted Lily carefully from the stroller and placed her gently in her grandmother's arms. Patricia cradled her like something infinitely precious and infinitely breakable, which she was. I watched them together. The woman who once tried to dismantle my marriage, now holding my daughter with reverent care. I hadn't forgiven her completely. Perhaps I never would in full. But I had given her this chance because boundaries aren't always walls. They can also be doors. And she had finally found the courage to knock. And that, for now, is where my story pauses. Thank you for staying with me through every twist and turn. If this journey made you feel seen, understood, a little less alone, or simply moved, please leave a comment and share your thoughts. I read everyone. If you'd like more real, raw stories like this, check the description below. I've linked some of my personal favorites. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember, your boundaries are not negotiable. They're sacred. Until next time.